Welcome back to Vibe Podcast. Today we're discussing Towards a Secret History of Voynichese Gallows, a topic researched for us by Nick Pelling. I'm joined by Charles and Angela.
Hello Alice, Angela. I'm Charles, and I've dedicated much of my career to unraveling the mysteries of the Voynich manuscript, particularly its unique script and historical context.
And I'm Angela, a cryptographer, here to shed light on the sophisticated world of historical ciphers and how they might apply to the Voynichese enigmatic text.
Excellent. So, Nick Pelling's work dives deep into the evolution of the Voynich manuscript's gallows glyphs. Angela, from a cryptographic perspective, what are your initial thoughts on his core beliefs about Voynichese?
Well, Nick starts with a fundamental point that resonates deeply with cryptographers. Voynichese did not appear ex nihilo. This is crucial. Sophisticated systems, especially those as tricky as Voynichese seems to be, don't just spring into existence fully formed. The idea that it's an evolution and a merging of earlier 15th century cipher systems makes a lot of sense. The hints he mentions about structured glyph patterns moving away from mid-15th century homophonic ciphers, and instead pointing to steganography and transposition ciphers, suggests a really complex, layered system.
And for someone who's spent 20 years focused on these very specific gallows glyphs, Nick's perspective on their evolution is invaluable. He believes they retained their original shapes but their function expanded. That's a critical distinction for understanding the manuscript's internal logic. He infers that one component cipher was originally a verbose, paired glyph cipher designed to conceal Roman numbers, which is fascinating.
So, let's dive into that evolution. Charles, can you walk us through Nick's first proposed stage?
Certainly. Evolution number 1 suggests there were originally just two gallows glyphs, identical in shape to what we now identify as EVA, T, and EVA, K. Their initial purpose, Nick believes, was a cipher alphabet selector. Used only at the start of a paragraph, visually disguised as a scribal flourish, they'd indicate which of two cipher alphabets to use. We see echoes of this on Herbola pages, for instance.
What's particularly clever here is the idea that the shape of the glyph didn't just indicate which alphabet, but where on a cipher ledger page to find it, one written horizontally, one vertically. This is a very early, almost proto-homophonic cipher combined with steganography. It's a branch of secret writing that feels like it's still finding its footing, making the proposed 1420s or 1430s dating quite fitting for an evolving practice. It's a testament to the ingenuity of early cryptographers.
And the second stage introduces a bit of misdirection, doesn't it? Charles?
Exactly. Evolution number 2 introduces fake cipher selector glyphs, EVA, P, and EVA, F. Nick posits these were a feint, designed to mislead code breakers into thinking they were dealing with the older, simpler system. The brilliance, or perhaps deviousness, is that the creator wanted to reuse the original T and K glyphs for a new trick. This implies a cipher creator who had potentially shown off the first stage to patrons, perhaps to sell his services, and then later needed to update or obscure his methods. It speaks to a level of sophistication beyond simple encryption.
This misdirection is a classic cryptographic maneuver, introducing red herrings to throw off decipherers as a sign of advanced design. It's not just about encoding information, but about protecting the system itself from reverse engineering. The idea that this might have been used to secure patronage in a competitive 15th century court environment adds a fascinating historical layer to the cryptographic design.
Moving on to Evolution 3, Nick talks about EVA-K becoming a vertical transposition cipher token. Charles, what does this mean in the context of the Voynich?
Here, EVA-K still points to a vertical key, but its function has changed significantly. It's now a transposition token. The key itself is the first token, or glyph group, inserted at the start of each line. This concept of line initial insertions has been discussed for decades, notably by Philip Neal, where it often leads to longer first words in a line, which can make statistical analysis of vocabulary very challenging.
This is where it gets really interesting from a cipher standpoint. Instead of a direct substitution, EVA-K acts as a placeholder for a specific, frequently occurring consonant within that line. The example Nick gives, like replacing all R's in a line with the R inserted at the start, turns it into a line-centric transposition cipher. It's quite different from a rail fence cipher, which is more of a post-Gutenberg concept, relying on the visual arrangement of letters. This line-centric approach is elegant and, as Nick notes, quite fearsome when combined with other tricks.
And then we have EVA-T as a horizontal transposition cipher token. How does this differ from the vertical one, Angela?
The EVA-T token signifies a paragraph-centric transposition cipher, making it more complex than the line-centric version. Instead of looking at a single line, the decipherer needs to locate a horizontal key, concealed somewhere within the paragraph, most likely on the top line. Each time an EVA-T is encountered, it's replaced by the next token from that hidden horizontal key.
And the challenge, as Nick points out, is finding where this key is buried. In earlier iterations, it might have been at the very start, but to increase security, it would be hidden within. Philip Neal's observations about p-paired words on the top line of paragraphs might be signaling or bracketing these keys. These Neal keys seem almost deliberately designed to disrupt statistical and linguistic models of Voynichese. If you remove those EVA-P instances, their number in the remaining text almost vanishes. It's a clever way to obscure data.
What happens then, when these transposition methods simply aren't applicable, such as with circular diagrams? Charles?
That's an excellent question, Alice. Nick identifies this as evolution number 5. The previous transposition ciphers rely on neat lines and paragraphs to embed their keys. Circular diagrams, however, offer neither an obvious top line nor a clear line start. So, a different method would be required. Nick believes an additional verbose cipher might have been introduced specifically for these pages, using pairs like OK, YK, OT, YT. This suggests the cipher creator was adapting his methods to the specific layout and constraints of the document, which adds another layer of complexity.
It implies a multimodal approach to encryption within a single document, which is incredibly sophisticated for the period. The distinction between K as a transposition token and OK as a verbose cipher for specific sections highlights the layered design. It's almost like different cryptographic modules are activated depending on the visual layout of the page. This kind of flexibility in cipher design truly speaks to a master cryptographer.
So, Nick has been thinking about much of this for 20 years, but there's always more to uncover. Charles, what's the big, where next, step in this research?
The crucial next step, as Nick identifies, is to find those visual cues, or an evolving set of them, that signal to the decipherer exactly where a horizontal key is buried on the top line of a paragraph. It's about understanding the subtle hints left by the encipherer. It requires an incredibly keen eye and a systematic approach. The difficulty, of course, is that Nick believes he might be the only researcher actively looking for this specific element right now.
That's all for today. A big thank you to our guest researcher, Nick Pelling, for providing our topic.